Alright, let's see here. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is an expanded reimagining of 2013's Stanley Parable. You will play as Stanley, you will not play as Stanley. You will make a choice and you will become powerless. You are not here to win. The Stanley Parable is a game that plays you? Cool. Have you played the Stanley Parable before? Shouldn't the question be, has the Stanley Parable played me before? Please enter the what is with the current time stuff? I've played other games that just instantly know the current time. What happens if I put in, like, the wrong time? Not like just switching to, like, AM or PM, but I literally put, like, 6 hours different. Computer inception. Okie dokie. Well, I guess we're gonna give this a shot. I've wanted to play this game for a long time. I haven't played the original non-Ultra Deluxe version of the Stanley Parable. From what I understand, the only real difference is this is just an updated version of it.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Well, at least he's happy.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay. I mean, if he's happy spending all his time...
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Should I just go to the meeting room, or is there anything I should be looking around for?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I like work. I just hate my boss. Open any doors?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Does it really not advance the story in any way? Where's this meeting room? Be my Valentine. I don't know why I'm reading the coffee cups. Who farted? I don't know. I think it was someone in the other office. Who farted? 2 people farted in here. I don't think that says anything important. Why do we have, like... You know, it doesn't look like off... Well, I guess... You have janitorial...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Did I? Why is it talking as if I've already done these things? Oh, shit. Okay, no choice. So now I'm gonna have to figure out what happens if I went the other way. Does that mean there's like 2 conference rooms?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
So wait, I walk all the way down here just to go all the way back? Everyone is unique. You must all number of slides on the slide. Rate at which charts on the same slide depict the same information. Rate of increase in graphs Please, no more. You're going too fast. The boss appropriation minute on your boss worksheet cycle the top 20. If you ever find yourself in a conflict with another diligent employee like yourself, what are your dreams for the not reading all this. So, is this a roundabout way back? So the first door I can open is a broom closet. What happens if I go in here? Am I stuck?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Then what even is the point of this?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Makes me feel like there is a reason. How about the broom? That's what
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything.
Trying to remember the
At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. And coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
This reminds me of a movie Will Ferrell was in. I can't remember the name of it. His boss's office. Executive bathroom? Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Okay, take it this is the boss's office.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
So... what would have happened if I entered in the wrong number? The elevator's not here. Can I... oh, is there... I guess I just can't see it. I clicked up, not down. Whatever, I guess we're gonna go
Descending
where the
deeper
game
into
wants
the
me to
building,
go.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
The fuck? Is there some kind of significance of this?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I feel like this would be a... I don't know if this would be bad, or...
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Now, is he lying, or...
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
I feel like he's lying, though. The trick.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Alright, so he wasn't lying. Or was he? What? Not dead.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
It's nice knowing you.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
But I'm not dead. What the... Alright. I've said it on other games, but there's some mindfuckery going on here. Stanley Parable. Yeah? Am I supposed to just walk off?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
This doesn't look like...
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
The hell? Morbid much? Pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved and altered to make sure players reach the 2 doors in a good time. Oh, it's a late... Oh, that's interesting. We start over here. We look at all the mugs. More mugs. And then we choose the left door. The blueprints show the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development through a core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Interesting. I don't remember seeing these doors. Is there a difference in which way I go? Or is this just... Like, have I already failed the game and I literally have to restart it? Narration
Now
out.
look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room? Perfect example of poor level design, textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you.
The hell?
Stanley stood on the roof. Stanley stood on the roof.
Is this just saying random stuff from the game?
Jumped in the river. And Stanley pushed the big red behind. Stanley jumped in the river. Still nothing? I don't know.
Alright, this
in
would
that
drive
case,
me
I'll tell
mad
you
in
what,
real life.
You win. Congratulations.
That would absolutely drive me crazy. Mind control facility. An early version of the underground portion of the game. One of the desks from an early version of the countdown ending. Am I spoiling the game for myself? I mean, this is cool to be like, you know, a museum of things from the game. Like, is there literally this many different paths in the game of things, like, you know, based on your decisions of following the narrator or not following the narrator?
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
What are we talking about again?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Or understood.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
So that's a different narrator. Am I literally starting over?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, so... Oh, there's the computer with the solitaire.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I am going left again. I'm gonna make a different decision, though.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
No,
Feeling
there's
a wave
not.
of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yep, walking upstairs. Walking upstairs.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley.
I have asked that.
Particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
You hope. Well, shit.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
So is she in her own Stanley Parable? And was I just going insane running around town? Yeah, all kinds of fuckery going on here.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The all-important
When
memo.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I'm gonna go right next time, I think. Ooh, I couldn't open that last time. What'd the panda do? Business strategy? What? Poor panda? Is this elevator just gonna go on forever? So it's an elevator that goes nowhere? Or does it go somewhere if you wait long enough? Do I really want to torture myself and wait in here long enough for something to happen? Probably some cool secret thing, but I don't have the mental capacity to do it, to handle whatever it may be. I couldn't open that door. Does that mean this one's now locked? No? Is anything different? I want to know.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
What happens if I do the wrong?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. 2845.
Am I gonna drive the narrator mad doing this?
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Okay, well, I mean, it's gonna force you to go a certain way, I guess. If he ain't gonna play the game we make him play, that we gave him to play, then we're gonna make him play it anyways. I wanna know what these markings are for.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I wanna know what happens if I turn around.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Hi, Death. Nice to meet you. Until next time. out to be a never-ending hallway going back, and we just have to forcibly die. No, we made it back.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
Yeah, too much to live for. Hello?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
From X-Men? You imagine gaming on this? Nearly 365 degrees. We got your cameras.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
What was I? Like 427? Is that mine right there? No. 427. I think it's 427. Yeah, that looks like my office right there. What is the point of this?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Well, I mean...
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
And some people would like that.
Here was the
Lazy
proof,
people.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
But it's all offline, so idle awaiting input. Okay, there's a button to press. 5. Can I press control disabled? Okay, doors didn't shut. Now that's an ultra wide right there, buddy.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Right. But he was happy. So if we turn it off, he's not gonna be happy. But if we want him to be happy, we turn it on, right? Mind control idle awaiting input.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. what all
There's a
this
button over
means.
there.
I barely know where to start.
Oh, now I'm seeing buttons.
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood.
Okay,
You're
so
gonna die
there's-
anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them.
1,
I
2,
erased
3,
them.
4, and
I turned off
5.
the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you.
Kind of what I
Running
assumed, yeah.
from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will
Okay.
save me.
There's a big
Why
red
would you
button.
think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
So that was the wrong decision, I guess.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So I'm assuming the way to
When
win
Stanley
this,
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
the way to win this game is just do what the narrator says, and you have like a smooth. Oh, I could see this game taking a long time. I don't know how you could even imagine how many hidden things there are in this game. Dismantle the controls. I don't know what the buttons are for. They make a different sound on each one, don't they? Do I need to hit them? Obviously, I'd have to hit them in a correct sequence. I was thinking maybe that number, but there's no 0. Oh shoot, I can't even press them all. So, let's not screw it up this time.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Oh, is that my cue?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him.
Nope,
For
not
it
at
was
all.
not
Screw 'em.
knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yay. So I'm assuming there's multiple endings, right?
All of his
So
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
so then that's just an achievement for one of multiple endings, I guess? This is different, isn't it? Wait, this is different. I swear this is different. I don't remember this blue hallway. I remember this, but I don't remember the blue hallway.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I am gonna do this one more time.
Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
I will take all the time I need, thank you. Okay, I'm done. There's got to be some kind of thing with the broom closet.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
I am on track, I'm just on a different track. Goodbye, cruel world.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
That was the plan, wasn't it?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Each sound is a mix of keyboard strokes and synthesized sounds. I'm assuming nothing changes here, but I feel like assuming is gonna get me in trouble.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose.
Shit. I mean, the game is now paused. Begin the game again.
For you. Don't let
I don't want to die. Does this start me back at the beginning again? Clearly, obviously.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
What? The narrator just changed what he said. What? Wait. He's not saying go to the meeting room. What? I'm confused. I've been confused this whole time, but...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
The employee lounge.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
It is a nice room.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Does it mean I need to look at the paintings?
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Everyone left because of me? Okay.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Is it? It's not very clear. No more? Okay.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Simply amazing. First open door on my
And so he
left.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Right.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
So does he even know? Or is he
Oh,
get...
no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I
He's
thinking?
gonna send me back to
It's
the...
clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Back the way I came, isn't he?
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Is that a creepy candy van? Am I gonna get abducted? Oh, we're back here.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
Exactly.
It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Okay. I'll go that way. Let's find the story. But it ain't there.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this.
Wait, what?
Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
What? Now, I want to do more.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, something's not right
Okay,
here.
yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Missed, like, what?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Is that not what we just did? We're retracing our retracing? What the hell? Turning into
Now
a
this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all.
real
Is
horror
this the
game?
story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall,
is a
but I
rough
believe my
draft.
story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yeah!
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
Hell yeah.
Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We
I'm
both
fine
know
with
you
it.
didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
What?
Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Pretty darn simple. It's supposed to go this way. It's the story goes this way. Redraw the line.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
The line is wrong, though.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought.
Just took a
Wouldn't
shortcut.
wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
A little
Not
bit.
sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
It's not exactly the music I was thinking of. Woo! Hold the phone. Hold the phone. What is this sorcery?
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
You say the fern? Yeah, I looked at the fern. I want to know what this is. Wait, it's not doing it now. Yeah, I looked at the fern.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Wait, yeah, that's... What?
Still missing the doors. Did we make a mistake following the line? Perhaps we could have found the story on our own.
It's your line. Shouldn't you know where it goes?
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
So how's this line idea working out for you? Oh, you're not going to tell me about it this time?
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
So, you say we can make up our own story, but you're still telling me which direction to go.
Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Glad you're ready for it.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Just don't acknowledge. Does that mean go the other way? What happens if I go the other way? Does it just take me back? I mean, does the hallway change, or can I not just sit back down at my desk and be happy? We're going to ignore the line. Ignore this broken line. This crazy line goes back up into the ceiling.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Wouldn't the same logic work for the left door? I'm not getting to make no choice. You've been playing the confusion ending for... Wait, what?
Oh, hold up, what's this?
Wait for maintenance
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
Shouldn't you
so
know
now,
this?
According to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really...
Find
No,
a
it
bookstore,
can't be.
get bored,
I don't
and
want it
leave,
to be.
narrator
I don't
starts
want the
again.
game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's
The
going on.
narrator
I don't want to be
is
trapped like this.
gone
I
after a
won't
long
restart
time.
the game.
Stanley
I won't
dies.
do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know?
How did you not make
Will
the
someone
schedule?
come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
The Farfignugan. What's the point of that? All right.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Remember something about a fern. Wait, what did that say? Awaiting input. Input received. Does it mean I can interact? Oh, the door's already closed.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
You need to clean your fan, man. Your PC's going nutso. Probably overheating. Does that mean I can open doors? Interesting. New content?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Different from old content?
Hello, and thank you for playing The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, The Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Yeah, me and you both. There's no button.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Secret. This is
is
the
it
only
broken?
content?
What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
It's just like an hour of this.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Oh, we can jump now? But only in the circle. Is this all the new content? This is the best update to a game ever. I'm wasting all my jumps. But then again, I can only jump in the circle. Now I'm sad. Can I jump outside the circle? I'm now curious what would have happened if I hadn't jumped. Like, is there...
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
There would have been another circle later on where I could have
Another
jumped.
elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Shut up and let me talk! I really feel like that's what they're gonna do. Like, there's gonna be somewhere else that allows jumping, but I'm all out of jumps now.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about.
Yeah,
No
because
frills, no gimmicks.
that's
just
helped
you and me
so much in the
having a great
past.
time together like always. What do you say, friend?
I never admitted to being your friend. Oh, it's different again. You're driving me a little nutso.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Why are we whispering?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Okay.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Yeah, the waste. 2013, same year GTA 5 came out. Trip down memory lane. Smile because it happened. Unachievable. It is impossible to get this achievement. Has something to do with the phones.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
What's with all the candles when you have lights, though? That's all I can think about. The original remake. The original remake?
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
I mean, 9 out of 10 doesn't sound perfect.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Where the real work is done.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Sure.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Stick them up their backside. Keep feeling like there'll be something to interact with.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear,
I wouldn't say preachy, but you get a little annoying.
Hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button?
Right.
Well,
10 hours?
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Don't do anything for the... Do what you want, and if they don't like it, they don't like it. Thought there might be like a hidden button.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago?
I can wait as long as you can.
The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until
until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is,
All right, I can't
so
do
on
it.
and so forth, until inevitably we all...
I can't.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto.
He's doing it
I'll
again.
outline it for you very briefly. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable
Well,
by
then
any means.
shut up!
There's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can
Why
say
is the
goodbye
door
to
gone?
it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole?
No.
A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is... Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen
12
there.
hours?
I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room.
It's like
Stanley,
that Adam
the door
Sandler
is gone.
movie.
It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here.
let's find out.
And more than anything else, I don't... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
A fucking week?
I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel.
And I'm
through which my
realizing I need
words
you
were
to
moving.
shut up.
It was...
Making my eye twitch.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped
there
keeping
is no
track
us.
after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved
A
for one
year?
entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was...
It's been a decade. No. Freaking battery's dead in the smoke detector. Would we have an earthquake?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability.
He's really hung up on these negative reviews.
The end is never the end, 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 is never.
Keep thinking a door is going to appear somewhere. There's a secret way out I just haven't found. The fuck? Why is it leaking? We have a tornado? Sunlight! Has it been 100 years? 1,000 years? Where'd the dirt come from? Where's the music coming from? And then we're back to apocalyptic nightmare. That doesn't sound good. So I can leave, but it's just an endless desert with satisfactory music. Oh, you're broken. Do you still work? No, you don't work no more? We're slowly sinking. Mind fuckery.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Like
Stanley
nothing ever
decided to go to the
happened.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, I missed them. New content. Sure, let's check it out.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to miss. Well, we don't go down any of the other paths.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Do what?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Why would you... Like... Does he mean like printing to 2 printers at the same time? Time to wake up.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Are you just talking about calling Ultra Deluxe Stanley Parable 2? Thought there was something walking. It's a pretty snazzy looking place. They're back 2 doors. More TSP, better TSP. Program shift. Synergy. The color red. Leverage. Holistic value. The hell's that mean? Guess we're going
Now,
this
to be
way.
clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
New features.
Here we
And
are.
I'm
Go on,
locked in.
try out some of the new features.
This game has gone somewhere I did not expect it to go. The Stanley Parable 2. I really like the three-dimensional style there. New features. Red is the new orange. The baby is all grown up. Hear your name in the game. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. That is groundbreaking.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, that's... Is it just gonna say Stanley?
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
I can
If
feel
so,
it.
then please step forward and press the button.
I believe I am now Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again. Jim. Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
I am Jim. But how would it have been if you hit it the second time and it said, like, Steve?
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
But I am now Jim. You can't take my identity away from me.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Yeah? Epilogue?
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
We got Moich. Why is there no Jim Moich? The end is never the end again. This t-shirt is the best new feature. I saw the new content. 427. They're back 2 doors. 2 back doors. No screenshots. It's over here. I'm afraid to walk through a door because I'm afraid I'll miss out on stuff.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
Happy 12th birthday, step-niece it is.
No, I want... This is funnier. Get well someday. Funny. It would look good on a shirt. Or a... Instead of a get well soon card, it's get well someday. No. That's not... No.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
No, you made...
Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
You didn't let me make my... He keeps messing up my decisions.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Maybe in your eyes, but... So, do I just keep carrying it, or do I put it back? I guess I'm gonna keep carrying it, and have to listen to this creaking handle.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Infinite hole. It won't end. Free, new, and easy achievement. Get it here. Settings world champion. Infinite hole. Why you no let me in? It's no let me in.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle.
I knew it was going to do this.
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Well, could have just given me some circles, but whatever. Wait, where's the infinite hole? Where's the infinite hole? Getting sciencey here, aren't we?
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Why do I feel like I'm not falling?
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Why? Am I eventually going to hit the bottom? And prove it's not infinite?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, The infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't
Just the
mean.
two of us.
Why don't
We
we
can
just
make
put
it
all
if
this
we
behind
try.
us and
Just the
agree to
two
just
of
call
us.
the hole mostly infinite. If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Meeting at 2 p.m. Meeting at 2 p.m.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh.
I swear
Did
that
the
was a
hole seem
much
even
quicker.
shorter to you this time? I
yes,
couldn't
it
help
did.
but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow, okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect
Seems
that I'm
that
starting
way.
to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot.
I was going to say a pit, but...
How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
It's
Is
not
the,
working.
teleport button not working?
No,
you
it's
sure?
not.
Well,
How
I
about
mean,
some jumps? I can get out
I
of
really
this.
don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye,
Don't
Stanley.
restart the
You
game.
couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
It's
Take
fine.
care, Stanley.
That's all I
hope
ever
you and
wanted
the
in life.
hole have a
was my
wonderful
own
rest of
hole.
eternity together.
Yeah, bugger off. What's that? What's that sound? What are those sounds? Uh-oh. F, change your perspective. Can I put my bucket down? So dramatic. Next time on Falling Down the Hole. Wait. F, change your perspective. G, change your perspective. the hell is this? This game is melting my mind. I really want to know what this says being played forward. What in the absolute craziness is this? Makes all
Stanley?
kinds of sense in the world.
Stanley?
What's up?
Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Please, no. I can't survive this. I don't have enough coffee. Yay,
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Let's not fall into the thing again. Mostly infinite hole now. Why can't I what happens if I go back to the mostly infinite hole? Is it literally just a mostly infinite hole now? Like, what happens if I jump back in it? Oh, I am denied. He should have continued that. Let you jump back in there and just let your mind melt. Free, new and easy achievement. I can't believe it's that simple. Get it here. It just works. Get yours right now. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement. No more steps. Pull the
Now
lever.
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Is it now?
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
I thought maybe if you just did it enough. Unachievable. Is it really unachievable? Is there like another lever? Not as simple as you claim it is.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Free, new and easy achievement. Bullshit. You are here. Thanks for letting me know. I don't... Why would they have a mix of letters and numbers? Like, what happens if I go back here and press Q? Do I really have to carry this bucket around forever? You can find them. Can you find them? Can you find them? Can you find them?
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
The hell is all of this? Are these the last people that have played this game and not made it? Why does he gotta look so sad? Wait, 1 of 6. 1 of 6. Can't go back in.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Does this count as a big one? Does this count as one? Is this you, Stanley? There's not actually gonna be collectibles here, is there? I'm getting kind of tired of carrying this bucket. Can I put it down now? Guessing not. I assume the only thing left to do is to just exit. Am I really just gonna carry this bucket with me the whole time?
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
I think so. That's actually really cool, and I wish I didn't have the bucket in the way to take a screenshot. Wait.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement.
Wait, I see collectibles.
This
How
is
do I get
much
them?
better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they wouldn't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen.
Why are there file cabinets where the door to his office would be?
Conviction. This is the
No, it's
Stanley
not. The
Parable
door would be
2.
on the left. I was wrong.
Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
What?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
This
And
feels
Stanley was happy.
very...
And then one
Like I've
day,
been
something
here
very
before.
peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions,
The
call a
balloons are
meeting,
different.
or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Is this just to show me achievements that I've gotten? It's gonna be a long achievement there.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
I don't want to.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Now I'm gonna need that bucket, aren't I, to like carry water or something? I don't know which way to go now.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, I missed the employee lounge.
Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
That wasn't open last... Ooh, and I never went that way. Oh, where do I go?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Was there like a key card on the desk I should have grabbed? Electable.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Yeah, I will.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do.
Yeah, totally.
Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This
like
is
to keep it
all your
simple.
fault.
I'm a wannabe. Everything's my fault.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
I'm glad you got what you wanted. I'm happy you got what you wanted.
Maybe Stanley would never pick up the bucket. A lonely bucket, lonely and miserable, and Stanley-less.
I
Such
don't
as when
want to
Stanley
pick up
came
the
to a
bucket.
set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Not today.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Her? Her who?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Urgent. Employees should never, under any circumstances, attempt. What?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this.
Her
to reach
who?
out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
I don't want to. Social anxiety. I don't want... Can I unplug it?
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white
Again.
light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that
Maybe.
wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually... chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
Leave it up to me. I'll do it wrong.
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
About time you figured that
I can't
out.
believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice.
That's all I want to
It's
watch.
the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, it can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
The hell?
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way,
Okay.
please.
Do I just go back in?
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly.
I thought
halfway
about
through
doing
the
that
story.
earlier.
That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
I was afraid if I jumped on that platform, that catwalk, I'd just be stuck there. How far back must I go? Is this not the... Okay, we're going all the way back.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite
But
sure
I
you'll
thought
be
I
up
was
to the
Jim.
task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All
Maybe
right.
that's what he means by I'm not
When
Stanley,
Stanley
I'm
came to
Jim.
a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yep.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
The hell happened in there? Guess I don't have a... Can I go back further? No. Guess I have to go this way now. Off to see my boss.
Oh, it's
What?
ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that?
I'm gonna
I can't
guess we
erase that
restart.
knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I...
Do what makes you
No,
happy.
I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Driving me crazy is what makes him happy.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see?
Couldn't have put me
Didn't
behind
I
the
impress
wheel.
upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
Didn't I go to the underground facility and
behave
blew it
exactly
up?
as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
It just keeps doing it. Is he not talking to me now?
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley
really
would.
wants
That
you to
means
go
choosing
left.
He entered the door on his left.
It just sucks me over here. Let me hurry back. Let me hurry
No!
back.
Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
I'm gonna
Putting
get
the
a running
story
start.
first. He entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Won't even let me in there now.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
Won't
boss's
even
office.
let me go down. Can I go to the bathroom? No. Can I go on the elevator? No. What? This is... What the hell? A little bitty...
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Jim. Night Shark 116.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver. right there on the wall.
Night Shark 115. It's gonna be
I'm
like-
sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward.
You wouldn't let me go in the door on the
When
right.
Stanley
What the?
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Huh?
Stanley? Hello? Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever
See,
you
he
do. I
needs
simply
me.
need you to take that step
Nice
forward.
to feel
Please
needed.
choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there?
No.
Okay.
You're on your own,
It's
buddy.
okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to
Sorry,
decide what's the
Leroy?
right thing
Wait,
to do.
I wasn't reading that.
Take as much time as you need.
Is the game actually over? It's gonna load me right back in, isn't it?
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time? Stanley, pick up the bucket.
I don't want to. It obstructs my view. Ooh, wait.
Stanley
Fine.
picked up the bucket.
Stupid bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Yeah.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Okay, there's no platform there, so I can jump off. I'm gonna jump off. I'm
No,
gonna jump off.
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
It's not what the bucket asked me to do, though.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
It's
I
a
suppose
hat.
that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
You got it.
Simple
Let's
enough,
do
right?
it.
This
Yeah.
should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Yeah, okay.
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okay.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
I'm pretty good at this.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
I mean, it's a good representation of a bucket.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
What? I thought it was...
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible.
I thought it
Let's
was
just
like one of
move
these
on to the next
newfangled, new improved buckets.
one. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
This feels like Friday testing
Item
at
6.
school. That I
Is this a bucket?
Surprise exams that I'd never studied for. No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What? It is and isn't a bucket?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Mind is melting. There's nothing there. Is this a bucket? Yes.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket
It's
when we
invisible.
both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Yes.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out.
Join
I've
the
lost
club.
all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry.
Maybe you
But
are a
I'm going to
bucket.
erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Yay, I don't like the bucket.
What happened?
The
Is
bucket's
everything
annoying.
gone? Why did everything disappear?
Did you
Wait,
delete the game?
was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. Except me. I'm not a bucket after all.
I thought you
And
were the
Stanley,
bucket.
You're still here. You're not a bucket either.
No, I'm
this
Jim.
Is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's
I'm
delightful
happy
to
for
get
you.
some
Very
clarity
happy
on that
for you.
issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Tear a hole in the fabric of space.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Is there not an end to the game? Like, is there legitimately not an end to... There, I mean... The content's gotta end sooner or later. Not touching the bucket. Or should I?
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Trust the completionist instinct. It just got creepy. There will be a reward for finding them all. Wait, he said there wouldn't be a reward. The large room, lots of boxes. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Somewhere both red and blue. Nearby a fireplace. A private but smelly place for an important person. Okay. It's bathroom. Fireplace. I don't know about the red and blue. Stairs, something to do with stairs, okay. This is different. Small floating objects have appeared across the office. We have desynchron. How can you tell you've spotted one? What makes them float in the air? Who takes this picture of them? Who took this picture of them? Follow clues provided by employee 416. We can do it. Red room. A red room. Good luck. A red room.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy, it's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no.
It wants the bucket. I'm happy to give it the bucket.
Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Okay.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate. No more
Property
discussion.
of Stanley.
Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning. So, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that.
Stanlerines, I like
Another
that too.
Stanlerine under your belt.
All right. Fireplace and bathroom.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one?
I actually like them both.
Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
And Figlarines. Okay, wait, so was that figurine the one that had to do with stairs, or was that the one that was both red and blue? Near the fireplace. I got the bathroom near the fireplace. I mean, this is a red room. I get it. It's somewhere both red and blue. Somewhere both red and blue.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Is this not the fireplace? Is there another fireplace? Or does it just mean it's inside the fireplace? Ah.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anmarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then
Somewhere
the first number will
blue-
equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be
Blue
different
and
people by
red.
then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anmarines. None of us can.
Figmeranarines? What the hell? Somewhere blue and red.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
I'm glad to hear that. Somewhere blue and red.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
I figured the elevator was broken. I just took a shot. It's the number 3.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Why would they let me come up here and make a deal out of the number 3? Somewhere red and blue.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again? No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet, not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
I've heard this game is just a weird game, but I never thought it was this in depth with all the different things.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Sure, there must be. Do I go back again? It's not saying anything about going back.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Blue and red.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
There's no way that I can... I mean, I could, if I really wanted to.
The monitors jumped to
Complete
life,
100%
and Stanley
every
nearly
game,
dropped the
but-
bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like
It's
this,
just a bar
and it
graph.
very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's
red screen.
mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
If a bucket is your only friend, then I feel sorry for you.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in,
This is
Stanley
red
decided
and
that
blue,
this
isn't it?
machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
I mean, there's red here and there's blue up here.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Said to trust the bucket.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True,
What?
it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty.
I was about to say, did it
until
stop
finally
halfway
the
and
truth
then
hit
is
Stanley
it going to
square in the
reverse?
face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket.
Yeah,
To be
he's got
trapped
the
eternally in
bucket.
darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
He didn't have his bucket anymore? Because I'm about to go somewhere that I can't take the bucket.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Yes, this is Stanley's office. Wait, is this like showing my progression? Like showing how much of the game I've done? And is the other computer showing like the levels I'm on?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room,
No, it
and
is not
Stanley
the
knew it
correct
perfectly
way.
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The
Stop by
lounge was
just long
grand,
enough to run through
majestic,
it.
Perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Hi, first door. Bye, first door.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off
See,
on the
there's a
wrong
door
foot
down
here.
there I'm interested
I'm
in.
not your enemy, really.
That's
I'm
open,
not.
so what happens if I
realize
jump
that
down
investing
there?
your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me
I'm sure
prove
you
it.
do.
Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully. And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment,
Stiggly
Stanley.
Wiggly?
This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
See, blue is my favorite color, but the thing said red, so I'm going red.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
I'm glad to hear that. Assuming this is where I came from. Or are we just chilling here? I mean, it is kind of peaceful and surreal, but is this all it is?
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
We were right here trying to... I'm glad you're happy. I mean, it's pretty and all, but...
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Why would I die? They're just stairs.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
I now see what's bad about the stairs. I don't want to take your happiness away, but is there something other than this?
Good,
Ooh.
good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
We're just gonna find our happy place and do a little, zen. Just chill. You wanna chill with me, Tigger? I know I woke you up. I needed someone to hang with. You just want to go back to bed. Okay. There you go. Probably be mad at me now. I can't. Too much peacefulness.
What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
I can't live like that. I'm sorry.
No! Oh, thank God.
What?
You lived. You had me worried there for a moment.
How much health
Now,
do I have?
Can we please get back to the other room? There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
We're both not happy, though. I can't sacrifice my happiness for your happiness. But if I have to take away your happiness...
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
I mean, you never know. I survived once.
No. No. What are you doing? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Hey, I survived once. Why should I believe you? Alley-oop.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room.
See?
Can you do that for me?
I didn't die. Dude. No.
My God. Is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
All right, dude, listen. I don't know you that well, and I don't want to sacrifice my happiness for your happiness. I'm glad you like the psychedelic light show thing, and that's where you want to stay forever, but I can't do it.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it.
And apparently I can't
don't
kill
know
myself.
anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all.
Yeah,
Well,
this
one is
you just want to
yours.
do what you want to do. What about what I want to do? Watch this. I'll do it backwards. Yee.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
I didn't think I'd actually die. We're back.
Stanley, I'm
Wait,
sorry,
what the-
but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Okay. If it'll make you happy and we don't have to go back to the psychedelic light show. What are we missing over here?
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain?
Are you now
We
going
were
to tell
so
me there's like
innocent.
20?
We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Creepy. Wait, 7? What? What is this 7 out of 6? You gonna tell me there's 12?
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the warehouse. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in
See,
all
I wanna
sorts
jump
of
down here and go up
mundane,
there.
unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand? Can you remember? Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Never found one here. Never been here before in my life.
this was the 5th mini-Stan, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Mini stand number 5.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
It's a damn good video.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Shut up, phone. You are in the present.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone.
Weird ass game.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the Memory Zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
What?
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this.
How
I
many of
must say,
these?
of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the Memory Zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
It was a very nice video.
Yes, I love that video.
Yeah, great video. What the hell am I looking at? I was never in this room. Never.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
See, we didn't go to the bathroom. See, it replaced the bathroom with that pink room.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Came before this? Nothing, but I mean, surely they didn't respawn again. Okay. I mean, before that was the first figurine. What do you mean, what came before that? Collect them all. Can you... Have I been in there this whole time? Oh, I still think that guy should have counted as like one.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Yeah?
And before everything else, there was your office.
Yeah?
Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
Family?
I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time.
Then what is Stanley gonna do?
I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
So it says this is the last run. Does it mean this is honestly the last run, or...?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
See, I want to jump down there.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investment, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley left from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
So it's not the last run. Wait. This is different. Stay away from me.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Blue door it is.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. Do you see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
I mean, skill trees seems a bit much. Let me take a stab in the
dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback.
Okay.
There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead,
janky,
Stanley.
but okay.
Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion, you know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your surroundings? Does that sound good? Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Stanley Parable Worldwide Leaderboard. Good old nail skid. Where is it going to show me where I'm at? This is you. Why doesn't it have my name? You are objectively ranked 9,328 out of 9,328. Did you know 21% of people skip the intro sequence? Only the worst 3% of players choose the blue door. How long does it take you to get the correct door? complete against others. Okay.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Yes.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind
do
taking
it.
a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
I don't need
In
to
this
go to
game,
work.
the
What
baby
hell?
crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Four hours? Sorry, little Timmy.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely
beat him!
valuable. Oh, hey, since
I
my game is
outlasted
so
him.
awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here?
Not playing Fortnite.
Yes.
Play Helldivers
This
2?
seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Game just keeps going.
Aha! Fascinating.
What is this?
What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our
Firewatch?
backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be
Sure,
it.
sounds
what a
exactly
fascinating
like me.
venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley, and it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
There's not even anybody out here to spy on.
Oh, no, it can't be.
What? What can't be? I feel like you want me to walk down. Oh, there's another path. I don't want to. I want to go take a dump in the game.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call.
Ooh,
You nearly wandered off
got a
into
gap.
that thing. That big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Jonesy Lake.
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Rocket League?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
I don't have an octane or anything.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run
Sports
the
ball?
bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
No, other way.
Are you doing it? Are you
gotta
winning?
dribble.
Is this
You gotta
fun?
dribble.
Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on?
I don't have any
Stanley,
boost.
I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist.
I don't
but
have any
if
boost.
one ball
Line it up.
generates
Line
a
it
certain
up.
amount of raw
Line it up.
adrenal
Line it up.
pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even
Miss.
more euphoric sports experience. I'm going
It's
to
all
try
right.
it out.
You can get the
Here
rebound.
comes another ball. Yes. Oh, goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
What? How's that not a goal? I'm royally confused. Wait, do I need to get the red ones into the...
Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow,
Bye.
I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Damn right. Alright, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. Is there a freaking end to this game? It says this game takes 2 hours to play. I'm 4 hours in and...
Hold on. What are you doing?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Okay. Seems like I should... The hell is going on? First iteration of the game. They're all metal doors. I can't open them. Light at the end of the tunnel. The fuck is that? Is that where he spies on me? We follow the light? Is this my true office?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading
thought
man
you
in his
went
own
away.
story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Very, very soon. So I know this is a game with multiple endings.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Is there like a proper ending? Do I just need to follow what he says to do the proper ending? I don't know why I bother turning all these off. It's different again. Reboot the game entirely. Like, do I have to physically restart the game?
What could it mean, he wondered. Desperate for answers, he began turning the... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
I mean, I feel like I've already done this, and I've already got an ending in this way, but things are different now, so I'm confused. There's, like, more variables. Well, whether I find a proper ending or not, which I'm guessing there's not one, I'm gonna have to get off soon.
For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Psych.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After
Yes,
they
I
kept
did.
you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley,
I'm gonna see if I can get in this
I applaud
door.
your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say,
2 minutes?
2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
No.
But you really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me and the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again.
Power surge.
And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Yeah. If there is some way to get through that, I don't know what the hell it is. Every time I thought I was starting to figure something out.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Tigger, this is the last run of the day. Don't get scared. Yeah, no.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror.
The bucket
Had this
did
been
it?
the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly birds. the control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Yay, I'm finally happy. But now what do I do?
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Now you've got my interest peaked. It doesn't look any brighter.
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
Who is her?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
I forgot I got a wife and kid.
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Freaking rude as can be.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
What the hell? Good morning, employee 427. Press Y on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again,
until he went mad,
wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free.
Wishing that it would end.
There's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Done.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
I thought that was going to be the door to go out.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Press Z to be at work in the morning.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
How about a mirror?
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Please
And I
die.
tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
This game is driving me mad.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, I can think of two other things that I want to try real
And here
quick.
it was.
Now pick up the phone,
Said the bucket.
pick up.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
I was told the bucket could speak to me. Hey, tip my bucket. Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press V to take me to work with you. Do we already have to go back to work?
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Just in my head. Hello, bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
I have my bucket. I don't need to listen to you.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it.
I
It
could
doesn't
use
do
it as a
anything
hat.
else.
Could put my lunch in it.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket, this stupid hunk of metal.
Press H to ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say?
What are you watching?
Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Press G to relive the same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways
My
in which
bucket.
it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Go home to work to home to work to home.
Oh no, I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps
What
if
the
I had
hell?
a bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it.
I
Give
thought
it to
there
me
was
now.
some
Give it or I'll...
satanic stuff fixing to happen. Or some inappropriate stuff. Go back to work, Stanley. It's different. It's different again. It's different
All of
again.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wait, what? Welcome to whiteboard ending?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Do I need a bucket for this? I want my bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Is this the whole... Welcome to the whiteboard ending. The hell's dog mode? Dog mode? Can I put the bucket back now? What the... Okay, we're getting rid of that. I guess we're going...
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
It's driving me mad. Okay, it's either go to the left and take the bucket with me where it says escape, or...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley
aware.
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
So I'm either taking this down to maintenance.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
The hell?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
It's my
The
bucket.
isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Wait, is the closet one of the people that's worried about me and the pencil sharpener? Okay, bye, fake wife and cardboard baby. We're going...
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
It's my bucket. It's my bucket. Not taking my bucket.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Property of
I think it'll
Stanley.
make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
You forced me to rely on this thing.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say
But
goodbye
it's
to the bucket, and then
mine.
pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you,
Now listen
bucket.
to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
I don't know what the bucket destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters?
I'm
Well, you
trying.
see, if you were to really explore the bucket destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of bucket destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the bucket destroyer until you crush that damn bucket.
It won't even let
now.
me.
The fans
What are you
waiting.
talking
Do it for
about?
the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and
I didn't want to, but it wouldn't let me.
The bucket destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Magnificent. So do I still have my bucket?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided
My
to go to the
bucket!
meeting room. Perhaps
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Damn right. Taking it down here, though.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be
Oh, I
fired for
remember
that.
this.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in
very
his
likely.
arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
Say it ain't
How did
so.
I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience
What did
without
I
the
do with my bucket?
psychologically
With-
grounding presence of his bucket.
With the
Indeed.
bucket. If
Now
it's
he
not my
noticed that
bucket.
The rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it
Where
truly
are you,
be?
bucket?
He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Because he's insane in the
Stanley
membrane.
toppled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular
got
day,
her
her
own
walk was
bucket.
interrupted by the body
Oh,
of a man
man.
who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this.
there were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My
Heck
life
yes.
kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Backflipped. Okay. You gonna backflip? All right.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
I know I keep saying, okay, I'm done.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled.
Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
I can think of some others
Stanley
that I
and the
could
bucket
try.
walked straight
but
ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
You put us both out of our miseries. Goodbye, fair world.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
But no, we were not.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within, and I'm not reading all this. Some museum just for the bucket.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
The bucket is depicted as having two handles, such as designed has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and riskily experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. That's rough. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That is more than 25 buckets. A photographer of 25 buckets, a great number of buckets, even captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shocks for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. There's like 150, 200 buckets there. Is this the first bucket? Inferno bucket, a replica of the Inferno bucket, which is a medieval era, was so powerful, alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet it spit. And yet, in spite of all of it, The simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. Okay? This is the first bucket. Cave drawing. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasure. It's quite the bucket, Tigger.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
Not even a bucket to piss in.
It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance inevitably is for our own good. Am I going to fall down the never-ending hole again? Oh, wait, what? I get the bucket back!
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
And that was the end of Stanley and his bucket. I can't. I can't. Wait, it still says Stanley Parable 2? Oh, it asks you a question about if this is the first time. Before we get started, can I just say something? Thank you for actually setting the clock both times you've booted up the game. A lot of people don't take the step seriously and just leave the clock set at okay. But you're actually taking the time to set the clock, and I appreciate that. That's how I know that you care about this experience. You're paying attention. I don't even have any way to know. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you've been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see this screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want, even it. Alright, I'll let you get back to the video game now. Thank you. My favorite time. Noon. That's when I get up on the weekends. 12 p.m., your favorite time of the day. Or could you simply not resist giving me the correct time again? After all, I know how much you enjoy setting the time correctly. Now I'm curious how accurate 12 p.m. is. Let another slider to find out. How accurate is 12 p.m.? A little inaccurate. You know, can I just say, regardless of the accuracy of the clock, I'm having a great time adjusting these settings. I feel like I'm learning more about you and how you like things to be set. It's good to collect data. Okay? Sounding creepy now. I wish we could have more sliders, but we've gone through all the sliders I have. Perhaps I can invent some new sliders to gather new data. Shouldn't be hard, yet let me whip up a couple. Should be ready by the next time you boot up the game. Written by Dave Warden. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Please adjust the slider until the dog and the cat are friendly. Please adjust the slider until the number 5 becomes the number 9. That's 9. Please adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. Which of the two made-up words below is most appealing to you? Occuponical? Scrum. Please don't adjust the slider. Do you know what time it is right now? Yes. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Yes. What is the time anyway? Wait. What is time anyways? Yes. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Of course. Yeah? Will you come back to visit me? Yeah. I'll do it one more time. I'll do it one more time. One more. What time is it? Does anyone really truly know? Of course they don't. Nobody knows anything. You and I don't even know each other. We're like strangers. Sure, I've adjusted all of the game settings to your exact specifications, but who hasn't? It's just what I do, like a day job. And now the job is over. There's no more information for me to gather. I've collected all the data on you that I can. And I still don't really know you. And you don't know me. And neither of us know what time it is. I know what time it is. I guess some settings are just unsettable. But if I'm being totally honest, the clock doesn't do anything in the game anyways. You won't have me here when the game starts next time, but that's okay. Video games were meant to be played alone. You like being alone, don't you? Yes and no? That's maybe the only information I really learned about you. Well, it's time for me to leave. Go already! There's still one more setting that we need to adjust, but it may take a little time before I'm ready for that. It's not really in my job description, but that's okay. Perhaps you'll see me again if you can find me. Talk soon. You're gonna... Epilogue? What the hell's the epilogue? Crap, I guess I'm gonna be recording another one. Okay! I gotta go. Thanks for watching.
I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be